So how you been, Ida?
I've been very well, actually. And
Are
you,
you,
how have you been?
are you busy traveling and things?
No, I am not, but I may for New Year, but not at the moment.
Oh, okay, I see.
And how have you been?
I've been good, very busy. Um, I've had some really, really inspirational spiritual enlightenments, awakenings, um, access to source, which I never thought I'd even access that kind of feeling and that energy.
Wow,
It's been
that's amazing.
incredible. And I've been connecting with the most amazing people, such as like yourself. And I've got another lady that does energy reading and Akashic record reading and a whole
Wow.
bunch of aura reading, chakra readings. I've just been delving into all of it because I just want to learn and I want to know, you know. It makes me feel good. It's like therapy sessions, knowing more about yourself and unpacking those things that stop you from doing what you need to do in your life, you know.
True. That's true. That's lovely.
Thank you.
Mm.
So obviously I've got you on this call because Candice did her interview with you and it was so life-changing and transformative for her. So I thought, let me do a follow-up with you and find out your story. And I mean, how did you come to channel spirits or read the energy or explain a little bit more?
Okay. So I started to understand that I communicate or receive messages with non-organic beings, call it. Um, when I was a child, when my mom says, not everybody that you talk to is a human being, and I couldn't understand it because certain people I could see it, I would talk, and then I wouldn't understand. Certain information would be available to me, and I couldn't differentiate which one was told to me and which one was not. Actually, one of it just happened recently, and I was talking to my friend, and I said, "Yeah, when you were in Spain, you told me about that what happened to you." And she said, "Actually, I didn't share this with anybody. How do you know?" And I said, "Oh my God, oops, I did it again." you know.
Oops, I
So,
did it again. I love that.
and I couldn't honestly. Still, at times, I feel like my friend told me that. Like you talk to your friend, close friends, and they share their experiences with you, and in the bank of my memory, sometimes I think what I just was sharing was told to me. I cannot differentiate it. That was from childhood when my mom said no, not every and then slowly I understood that I am seeing things that not everybody sees. I receive information not everybody does. And when I was um, in my early 20s, very early, my dad had to travel to another city, and it was in the evening. I was visiting them. He dropped me back at home. And as soon as I sat in his car for him to drop me back home to my house, um, I felt that his car is rolling down the cliff. I saw the image, and it was vivid. I saw the car down the cliff, rolling down, and it was and he was traveling that night. After he was dropping me, he was going to another city. And I did ask him. I said, I asked him, "Do you have to go?" He said, "Yeah, no, he had to go. It's a business trip." And then I said, "Please." I was very also because sometimes the information overwhelming, and I knew it. I said to him, I asked him, "Have you written your will?" He looked at me and he's like, "What?" And then I changed and I said, "Please, if you're driving, drive safe. Make sure that you are, especially around that road." I mean, I I saw where it was exactly
That's
on the
crazy.
road. And
Oh,
so I didn't tell him that I saw it. I still didn't have that confidence to share with my family. I was hiding
did
most of the
they
things that I was.
understand?
Yes, and my mother was telling me not to share. So the following day, my ex called me and said, "Get ready, I'm coming." At that time there was no cell phone, so get ready, I'm going to come and take you to your mom's place, your dad, your folks. And then I said, oh, I asked him, is my dad alive? And he said, did anybody call you? There was a phone call, do you remember? And I
Yes.
said, no, tell me. And he said, no, get ready, he's alive, but get ready, we're going to hospital. And we went to hospital. And I remember still, as it was yesterday, when my dad looked at me, when I walked into his room and he had broken bones, shoulders, his ribs was broken, shoulder broken, fingers were totally like under surgery for so many. He was in surgery for so many hours that night. And the first thing he asked me, he didn't give me, he asked me, he said, what did you see, my child? What did you see?
Oh, that's
And
incredible. That's giving me goosebumps, actually.
yes.
Wow.
So that's when I realized what I see actually not only is what I see from the past, but also what it may come in the future. And that freaked me totally. And I didn't want to, because it was a horrific thing to think. And it wasn't extending. It was only a certain image. From here to there, I could only see the car rolling down the cliff, and I could see something would fall out of it. It was this black thing. And I did ask my dad. And he said, that black thing that you saw, I bought 100 kilogram of rice. He had a bucket. And he said, I had 100 kilogram of rice, which I bought. And I was wondering that it was going to rain. So he put a refuse bag over the bag of rice, the back of his bucket. And that was what I would see, the black thing that would fall out. But his his bucket rolled down the cliff, was written off. And whatever I was doing, I knew, I mean, so many things that I now know that it was intuitively was given to me. Nobody then trained me to say, you need to reverse the vision, or what you can do with it, or what you're seeing, how to control what you know. So it was a trial and error, understanding and learning through but that incident, it was just a confirmation that what I see is real. It's not a hocus pocus.
I mentioned this actually in another podcast that I did. It's almost like that was your kickoff. That was your, when in football, rugby, they're kicking at the first line. That was your send off. That's what it essentially made all these events kind of roll into one, you would say.
I agree. Yeah.
And what do you call your gifts? What do you call it?
Well, I really, there's so many names for it. Clairvoyancy, I call clairvoyancy because I get visions. Then we're going to elaborate that, because people think if you're psychic or clairvoyant, then you see everything, and it's not true. We have access to certain part of information. Information comes in bits and pieces, in images and visions. Sometimes is auditory, so I hear something, but mostly is the vision. So I see. That's why my name, as from the beginning, was Aida Persian Clairvoyant. So the clairvoyancy is the vision, the premonitions that come through. To me, that's my most. And then I was trained. I did so many practical courses with beautiful masters all around the world. And then I studied metaphysics as well. So then theoretically and also practically, I worked and I trained myself, and in channeling, in coaching. It's so many facets, so many aspects of alternative modality I've practiced. But mainly I call myself, I'm a channel. I'm an oracle. I'm a channel. I allow the divine information to come through me in any way, and I facilitate that.
That's so beautiful. That's amazing. I mean, I'm pretty sure a lot of people would love to have that gift, but it honestly comes with its downfalls as well, I'm sure. To be able to have these gifts and not really understand that in the beginning, it must have been quite a traumatic experience for you, not understanding what's really going on and no one there to guide you. I mean, there was no spiritual schools or anything that back in the day, you couldn't find anything on it.
There was a time, Nadine, when I was thinking maybe I'm a schizophrenic. I was thinking that. I was worried because I was not a person to be just airy-fairy into spirits and spooky stuff. I was very much, when my line of study was maths and physics. So I was very much grounded, very much into science. And that's why I went to the neuroscientist, and I went to a neurologist, I went to psychologist, to learn about if I'm okay. And it was amazing when they did the EEG on my brain. They said to me, I have one of the most balanced equilibriums a human brain possibly can have.
Really?
So
That's
that
it.
my brain fires almost equally, which is almost very rare. Most people have left brain dominance or right brain dominance.
Right, yeah.
I was very much. And so my doctor said, you know what, as far as I know, and there's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with you. So, and he wasn't a dismissive type of a person as well. It was amazing. He said to me, write down, express yourself, keep notes, keep journal of what you're experiencing, and then just compare in the future just to see if any of them makes sense to you. And that was the best thing I've ever done, because then it put my mind at ease that I'm not crazy. I haven't lost it. That's what that was. That was a big, big confirmation for me. And then my dad's accident was absolutely a cherry on top of the cake.
Yeah. It's almost like the universe sent you something. It was so like profound that you had to pay attention. You had to listen. You had no choice.
Absolutely. And
That is so beautiful, actually.
the amazing part of this, Nadine, is that when I I came to South Africa later on, I did, even there, back there, I did hypnotherapy, self-hypnotherapy courses and all of that. And I'm talking about 1980s, which like people where nobody was talking law of attractions or manifestations or what type of a mind power and all that. It was a taboo. It was like nobody was talking about it. Even me, when I was talking, my family would look at me like, my brothers I remember, like, what you talking about? Now they sending me on Instagram. I see they're sending me a clip about law of attraction. I'm saying, hello, I was talking about this.
Amazing. It's like people are waking up, and I'm so excited for the future. I'm so excited because I mean, talking on that, I come from a very religious background. When I was 9 years old, I made my mom buy a chakra and meditation book and crystals, crystal healing, how to work with them. And when my dad found it, he threw it away. And he's like, you shouldn't be reading this. So that was my first encounter with something spiritual to do with body, mind, and soul. And my dad was like, nope, not allowed, And that's why I kind of like fought it for so long. I've always been spiritual. I've always had this light, but I just kind of pushed it to the side because of my religion that kind of
Yeah.
stopped me from delving in. And even just doing this podcast, it's quite intense for me because my sister's also very religious, goes to church every Sunday. And she was so excited for me. And I got such a beautiful, positive feedback from her. I was shocked. I was like, people, even religious people, are waking up to the fact that there's more than just black and white, and it's so powerful.
I always say religion came thousands of years ago. Thousands. We have evolved. It is like the map books. Remember the map books in the old days that you had to
All
page
that
and
one.
go to follow the route, you have to go there. And I always say, what if? We moved into a time of GPS. We have moved beyond just that map. We've grown, we have evolved. Are we still sitting and riding a horse? No, we have evolved technologically. We have evolved emotionally. We no longer treat people the way we did about 1,000 years ago, or 2,000 years ago. And also religion came to promote love. Isn't that what really all religions promoting? It's love. Ultimately, is the golden rule of all religion and philosophies. Treat others as you would like to be treated yourself. So that's a golden rule. And people get caught in that, in the text of what is said, and rather than the practice of what needs to be done.
No,
So
100%.
the entire religion says God, who is the all seeing, all intelligent, beyond our comprehension, closer than in Islam says closer than the vein in your neck, or the blood that runs in the vein in your neck. And God is in you in Christianity. God is in the mustard seed. So there is.
I think even just that verse, God is in you. I think it's been so manipulated. I think it should be changed to God is you. You are God. You come from source. You are a piece of it.
That's what we're getting at. And they're saying if God is in my vein means God is in me, that I am a piece of
Yes,
God. And
100%.
if it doesn't matter how somebody was having a debate with me and saying that it is not God, it's Allah. And then I said, okay, somebody else calls something else, like Jehovah, somebody calls Shiva. Does it really makes a difference in the essence of this divine intelligence? If God is in me, it means I am God. I am goddess and I am God and I am all, not from a place of ego, from a place of knowing that I'm in a very small part of this divine collective. And if I am that and you are that, and if that's what Moses asked from God and said, who are you? And it said, I am that I am. I am that. And there's this movie that I watched, which was defining where is the coma. Is it after I am, or I am after that? It's after that. It makes a huge difference if it is I am that I am. So I'm stubborn. I am that I am. Or it says I am that I am. It means I am everything. I am that. I'm not. I'm that. I'm you.
Yes.
And that's who I am. Then makes sense. If I am all and all is me, how can I not love? And then love is the major. In Zoroastrian is the Persian religion for 5,000 years ago was practiced, and is the only religion that has 3 rules, no other commandments. 3 rules, and it says think good, say good, and do good. That's it. That's all is required from a human being. And if you do that, and that's all there is, love, you will reach love, nirvana, basically. And we haven't reached there yet. We are still divided. Religion brought more division than anything else through history, more war than ever, and still we are witnessing that.
100%. Even more money. Church
Money, power,
makes money.
manipulation, division. Mine is God is in mosque. God is in a church. God is in a synagogue. God is everywhere. God does not belong to a bricks and walls. No, you can't contain God in anything. God is even in the bricks and walls. God is everywhere.
It's crazy how we can believe in God even though we can't see him. Look, I would say you could feel him. And I feel like it's the same for spirituality and all these energies, frequencies, soul type, all of these things. We can't see it. We can't see energy. We can feel it. We can feel vibrations. We can feel frequency. And if we pay attention to how we actually feel and what our body's doing, we know it's there. It is there. You can't deny
Absolutely.
it.
So
I actually
when
wanted to go back. Sorry to interrupt. I actually wanted to go back to your story because I'm so interested in you, Ida. I think that you are such a powerful, magnificent, divine being. And I really want to just get your message out there, your story. I want to find out when did you start doing readings? When did this become your calling?
Okay, so I was a translator interpreter. I came to South Africa, and I got pushed into a corner by, I call it, by the divine, in order to accept who I am, because all the time, all my searches, all my courses, everything was for me. It was not because I wanted to practice it. I was just looking and searching and seeking to um, to quench my own thirst. And then I got pushed into the corner. I came to a country, everybody was speaking English. There were not enough people of my own culture who needed translator. So and no matter what type of business I started, it didn't work. And I found myself in Cape Town in 2004. Up to then, I was doing readings and I was working, obviously, with people that I knew, like my friends and loved ones. But 2004, I started my practice in Cape Town, and now is basically 19 years that I am professionally practicing, but I'm working over 25, 30 years of reading. So, but professionally, 2004.
And what has been, I mean, you probably you've done hundreds and thousands of readings for people. But what is the moment that stood out for you the most in terms of a reading that you did for someone that transformed their life? Do you recall any? I know there's so many.
A client that came actually for a healing, and then um, I remember when I started working on them, at the time I was accepting clients face to face and I was working, and now I'm doing everything online. But then I was working, it was probably 2006, 7, around then, not more than that. And this client came and she was suffering rheumatoid arthritis, and came for a healing session. And I started healing, and I saw a young girl that was shot in the head, and she came through, and she didn't want to go away. And I asked this lady, "Do you recognize someone that's been shot in the head, a young girl?" And she said, "Yes, that's my cousin. She shot herself two weeks ago." Um, and she was 17 years old or 18 years old. And I said, "Okay, acknowledge her, and then let's continue." And she acknowledged, we continued, and this spirit wouldn't go away. I could hear her, she was crying, I could hear the visions were coming, and I said to her, I'm sorry, I cannot do the healing. If you don't mind, we can do the reading. And there's a message for her family. And she said they are Catholic and everything. These type of things are a no-no. I said, well, there's a reason she's showing herself to me. I'm hearing all of these things. And so we did the reading. She said, okay, let's do the reading. She agreed. We did the reading. She came through. She showed me how many times she walked up and down in the bedroom. She went to the safe. She took the gun. But she also showed me that she wrote a letter, where she put the letter. And she came in and she showed all of that. She was trying to call her mom. Her mom was out, not in the house. She called her mom. She put the phone down. She comes and she sat on the bed and she shot herself. She put the letter away in her bedroom, in between the books, under the bed. She shot herself. And I said to her, there is a letter. And then in the letter, she said, Pookie, it was only a stupid case. I saw that. And I told her that with the names that came through and so on. So she went back and she says, well, they are Catholic, but I'm not sure about the whole story of how it happened. So she comes back to me. A few days later, she called me and she said, can I come see you, please? I have a message from the family and I would like to share it with you. I said, of course you can come. So she came in and she brought the letter for me. They found the letter, and the last sentence on the letter was, Pookie, it was just a stupid case, or only a stupid case, something like that. And
Oh, that is so much detail.
Yes, and so that was for me, and it is like constantly evolving, and it's like when the spirit wants to communicate with you, they don't ask permission. They see the door open and you are the open door. Not everybody communicates with them, and they sometimes get caught into the loop of looking for and searching for, and into that memory of the last memory of their death, especially if it is suicide or murder. And they don't, and then there is this open door. There's somebody, a medium like us, a medium that is not on earth level, is a bit higher, but is not dead. So that it's like an open door. So they come through. And to me, that was a confirmation for me that is why I'm doing what I'm doing, to bring closure. And she was the only child, to bring closure to people,
I
to
actually
help
don't
them.
I don't think you realize how many people's lives that you've touched. Just by saying, I mean, just sharing Candice's story, she was in such a dark space, and the information you gave to her, it changed her life. It made her live on, be able to live on and not have that guilt and that heavy weight on her shoulder. And I'm really proud of you, and I'm very honored to be able to speak to you and connect with you, because you are very powerful and divine. I'm like your biggest fan. I actually recall a reading that you did for my partner, and he had never done readings before. And I remember you gave specifics about him contemplating. You told him that he had a knife in his hand and he was contemplating. And I don't think it was you saying it. I think it was one of his friends, either Gary or Warren, one of them, the one that either shot himself or the other one OD'd. And he came through and he told you, listen, this is what he's contemplating. Everything's going to be okay. I love you. Cheers. And it was a message that no one could know. You didn't meet him from a bar of soap. You couldn't have known any information about that, especially someone contemplating alone and having
Yeah.
detail of him playing with a knife. I mean, where would you even get that from? He doesn't even post on Instagram, you know? So that moment for me is very profound, because I knew then that just even the feeling and the vibrations that I got, that you are just on another level. I've actually had other people come to me, like, on my Instagram and WhatsApp, and they're like, I really need to speak to my mom, or I really need to speak to my child. This is amazing, but I'm scared. And I'm like, don't be scared. You don't have to tell
Yes.
Ida anything. Just go on the call and receive the message, be open.
Yes. And the thing you pointed out before, you said it's invisible. It's invisible force, but it's there. We don't see electricity. Our lives are based on use of electricity. We no one see it, but I mean, touch the wires, and you will be getting a shock of your life. See it? No. Do you see internet? Do you? No, really. Doesn't it exist? There's a world of its own. It's taken over our lives. It's an invisible force. It's in the air. I usually say, I mean, even now, people listen to some radios in the car, or people listen to radios. I would say, if you wouldn't tune to a specific um, line, like 94.4 FM or 101 FM, whatever it is, if you won't tune exactly to that frequency, you will not receive any radio. You just get a white noise. You can't say there's no radio station. And you don't do, your radio, your receiver needs to be tuned. I look at myself as my receiver is tuned. And people that they think that they are not, they are looking into that white noise. It's like simple as an example, as simple as your phone and my phone, the link that you sent to me. If it was one digit here or there, I would not be able to connect with you on a Zoom meeting. If it is one digit up and down, we won't connect with the person on the phone. the invisible force that connects to the satellite, the frequency that connects to both ones, but it needs to be dialed correctly. So actually what is ruling our lives at the moment the most is the invisible force, which is human-made. Now imagine what is, I mean, the intelligence behind this self-sustaining Mother Earth, self-sustaining. The scientists still don't know what is the secret of life behind life. They haven't. They may know the symptoms, that the doctors look at the symptoms of the illnesses, but they don't know really how this life comes about. Nothing. But yet it's so intricate, it's so detailed. So that's what I think. The most powerful, now we know, even quantum physics talking about it, that from unseen, the seen comes. Something that in yogis and philosophers years ago, many thousands of years ago, they've spoken about. We think about something, if you look around yourself, what is creation of the universe or creator, which is trees and the sky and the water and all that. Beside that, anything else around you once was a thought, was an invisible force.
That's what I believe with in manifestation. I mean, the building that we're in right now was in someone's mind. It was manifested there. It all started there. It's incredible.
Absolutely.
It's so true. There are a few other questions that I wanted to ask you as well while we're on the topic of it. How has this gift served you in terms of your own spirituality?
It allowed me to evolve as a human being, and I always thought that I had the advantage of having an extra sensory. Like everybody has 5 senses, I have an extra one. So I felt a little bit more privileged, and it served me 2 times. I promise you, in so many ways. You know, sometimes I don't take my feelings for granted. I know if I have the feeling, if I feel like tonight or today, if my daughter or my son shouldn't go out, I know they shouldn't. That serves me every single time. I have seen my own car that's been bumped. And then the good side of it is I get information beforehand. And then the negative side of it is, well, where am I going to get bumped? Which street should I?
Now
You know,
you're
you don't.
panicking. You're like, oh, when?
So it doesn't to me. Once happened like that, and every time I would see it. I would see my car is bumped. I was like, okay, well, thank you very much. You're giving me that, but where? It's kind of bumped.
But when and where?
Constantly, I was doing everything, and I know that when I see a vision, if I can change it, then I may influence the impact. But if I cannot change it, it means it meant to happen, and it will happen.
That's
So
actually an interesting subject right there, because I was chatting to someone else about this. They were saying to me, if someone gives you a message about something that's going to happen, is it in your hands to change it? And I answered, yes, definitely, because it's still a choice. You still have choices that will lead up to that. So it's quite interesting that I'd love to go more into that subject. What are your thoughts on, I mean, you obviously experienced it yourself where something's going to happen. How do you change it? How does it work?
if it happens for me, as for me personally, then yes, we have a choice and we can. If it meant to happen to us, we may be, remove a bit of an impact. So if it's a big thing, it can become a smaller, but still we're gonna get it. So for example, if I meant to be learning about saying no, I'm meant to experience abusive relationship. Somebody to abuse me, learn to stand for myself and say, no, I don't allow you. If that's my life lesson, I'm going to get it. Doesn't matter how I'm going to go around it, I will still get it. So, for example, that accident that I was saying, if for whatever reason I attracted that and it is in there and it shows to me that it's going to happen, I was trying to drive, consciously. I was looking at everything, I was driving. Then I went to my dance class, and in the middle of a dance class, I remember the car guard came and said, "Who has the Mercedes-Benz, this color, this?" And I was like, yeah, it's me. It says, your car was bumped.
Oh
So,
no.
but but it was a small, like it wasn't a big bump. It was still a bump. I mean, they bumped my car and it dented it. But it did, I would just think that as much as I could, I influenced it and I removed the impact. It could have been worse if I wouldn't pay attention. I always say universe shows red flags. Universe shows us that here is, you need to be careful. And if we don't pay attention, we have that hard impact. But if we pay attention, we reduce the impact. The reduction of that impact is our own choice. We can do it if we are conscious and we are aware.
That's one thing. I mean, the emotions are always there when, in terms of even just your triggers, you know. There's always
Mm.
the emotions that make the trigger even worse. But I think sometimes if you're conscious of it and you're aware that those are your triggers, you can kind of work on it. And like you said, the impact won't, it gets better. The impact is not as impactful when you're conscious of it. That's very true.
Yes, sometimes you can talk to universe, you can interact, you can meditate, you can go back to the vision. I always go back to the vision I had. I know my visions, and I can separate them from my imagination. That's where I have reached. So when it comes, I know this was from there, from above. So then I go back into it and I gracefully ask if I can change it, if I can change it, if I can. Please be, I always say, please, universe, be gentle and kind to me and my children and my loved ones, my family. So I put in my prayer, please be gentle. And in that, allow me to serve and allow me to be served. And in that, I go to that vision and I see if I'm meant to, allow me if I'm allowed to, allow me if I'm allowed to. So I'm always asking permission. And if I'm allowed, then it will show to me, yes, you can. If I'm not allowed, it will remain the same. It doesn't matter what I do, it will come back again. I'm meant to go through that experience for my own good reason, for my own evolution, for my growth. I have to go through that pain. I have to go through that. This whatever is experienced at that moment is painful. I have to go through it. There's no way, because it's a soul contract. So I'm here to go through certain life lessons. I
And
cannot
you've
avoid
chosen
them.
it. It's preordained. You chose those life lessons to teach you those things.
It is like you have chosen it, so why you want to change it now? I mean,
I know, people are so fussy. They're like, you know, I know this is going to make me stronger. Even with my what I've been through in my life, I look back now and I'm like, if I didn't learn that and go through that, I wouldn't know this, and this wouldn't have helped me this way. So as you get older, you do find the reasons of why these things happen, and you just got to be open to receiving those messages. I also wanted to talk about the last reading that you did for me, and I'm definitely going to be scheduling a new reading. Hopefully, you'll allow me the pleasure of posting that reading because it is very private and personal. But you told me, because I don't have a lot of people that I have passed in my life or that I have a very strong connection to. I haven't felt that kind of loss. But you said to me that I had this spirit that came through, and she was in from my lineage. And she was there protecting me, guiding me. She also went through something similar. And it was
mm.
quite interesting that it's not just channeling past loved ones. You can channel spirits that are connected to you from a different lifetime even. And that's, how does that work?
Because in a spiritual realm, there is no time and no space. Means time is irrelevant and space is irrelevant. So past life, this life, last year, this year, 2 minutes ago, and now is all at once exist.
Yeah,
And one is available. And it doesn't make any difference for me. So I only channel the information, and information comes through, and I just share it. Um, and like you said, I don't know people from bars. So there, in the past, when I would attend group sessions, there were 200 people, and I would walk in there, and I would just. There were times that I would look at the chair that is empty, and I would say, "There's a spirit for that chair. There's somebody that waiting for the person to arrive on that chair." and have a message, and this is the message before the person arrives. And I would say, okay, now people remember it. We hope that this person arrives. So one of the sessions it was in Johannesburg, and halfway through, I already gave the message for that seat because it was not. Halfway through, the person rushed in and sat down, and he said he was on his way to Pretoria. He thought, he doesn't believe in these things, and he was on his way to Pretoria. Halfway, like something told him, no, you must go back there. There may be a message for you. And it was interesting that he came back and he sat there, and I said, well, somebody passed the message to him so that it is not just me. And then they did, and he was flabbergasted. He just looked up and he said, I'm so grateful that I came here. So yes, the spirit comes from everywhere. And sometimes I know the days that I have bear totems. I have eagle and I have owl. I have ravens as well. So when the owl sits on my shoulder when I would go to a group session, I knew that I have the people that they come crossing over is going to be gentle, it's going to be loving, it's going to be people that pass away normally. When the raven would arrive, I knew that I would have people that died through murder or suicide. So it was amazing. I already would get the information that I would have murder today, I would have suicide today, or I wouldn't. And when I would get into the place, or I would say, well, this person in between 200 people, when you say this person passed away under the water, died, and then I would give a name. For example, if it was few people would had the same name, they would raise their hand. Then the information would get more detailed, and then the two of them would say, "Okay, it applies to me." And then it would come and say, "It's a Gemini, born on this date, on the 15th, for example, of the month, and it's a Gemini, and this and that and that." And then the person will say, "Oh my God, this is my whoever that passed away, and yes, was murdered under the water." Was So it just, I don't know where the information comes from. And every time that I would go to a session, I would be like nervous. And I remember Tony Robbins, Tony Robbins is a beautiful motivational speaker. And he would say, even me, I'm going to speak, I get nervous. And if you don't get nervous, then something is wrong with you. And every single time that I want to go to those sessions, I wanted to go to those sessions, I would look to my shoulders and I would see my birds are there. I was like, oh, thank you, they are there. The messages are arriving. What if somebody switches the button off, and I don't receive messages and I'm standing there? What am I going to do?
Have you ever experienced something like that where you've struggled to actually channel and understand what's happening?
If I drink, yes. If I drink, and I don't drink. If I
cuts you off the source, isn't it? Alcohol actually cuts you off.
Yes, it does totally. It changes the frequency. You are in a totally different frequency. And one of my birthdays, my daughter treated me to, took me out and said, "Mom, tonight you're gonna drink. You're gonna drink." And she gave me, a few shots. I remember, and I lost my frequency for a few days. I felt like I'm blind or I'm deaf or something. If a person loses a sensory, it was terrible for a few days. For a few days. 3 days, for 3 days. And that 3 days, I remember I felt like I'm out of balance. I'm not getting how do people live? How do people live?
How do you live hungover all the time?
My friend was saying, well, we all live like this, and it's like, oh, it's horrible.
Yeah. Because it's literally poisoning your body. Like, I know when I drink, I feel like I've been poisoned. Like, my body's so dehydrated. I'm thirsty. My mind's foggy. Yeah, nothing works.
We move to a lower chakra frequencies, and so we are disconnected from the higher chakras.
Wow. Even they say any recreational drug, even your prescription stuff or antidepressant. They can all affect how you channel and what you feel, your chakras, your energy, your frequency, everything. It's crazy. And we do this every day and it's normal. It's normal to
Yeah.
go and drink and poison our bodies.
Yeah. So those are the things that happens with me with I need to be aware. I cannot do caffeine. I stay away from caffeine, from alcohol, from drugs and all that. So in order to be me and be open.
And it starts with the body.
I'm sick, I'm more psychic. When my body suffers into a state of deprivation, if it's hunger, if it's fasting, for example, I'm fasting, I'm super psychic. When I'm sick, and I'm really in fever, then I open my eyes and then I see so many different things and I hear more, and it's crazy. With
That's
my
crazy. 'Cause
more
I was also watching Joe Dispenza, and he doesn't speak so much about spirit, but he speaks about mind and body and how everything starts in the body and then the mind affects the body. But it would be weird that even in your unhealthy states that you're more able to access source and your abilities. How
Yes,
would you
I think
explain
when my body deprived of whatever health is, my spirit is more powerful. It's like more showing. And when it doesn't mean I work. No, I can't work, but I'm receiving. It's like I'm downloading. And then sometimes when I get sick, which I rarely get sick, but when I get sick, it's almost like I'm downloading. And then once it's done, I very quickly recover. My recovery time is very much faster.
why would you be feeling sick? Is it just like a virus, or do you think it's actually energy or frequencies that are affecting your actual body?
Yeah, when I get cold or when I get flu or those type of normal
No.
type of flu and cold, when you have fever, those type of things, I am more psychic than.
And Ida, would you be keen to do a reading with me and focus on something? I'm not sure what to focus on. Maybe you can give me a little bit of advice what we should do. What do you think our reading should be about in the next
We can
podcast?
definitely do that. We can do a short reading online, um, so that you would like to give a taste to your viewers
Yes,
of how
yes,
so that would be lovely. Yes, I haven't done, usually don't record. I don't commercialize myself as much. You know me.
I
I
know.
stay away. I stay very, very away from. But I think it would be great for people to know that this exists, and also there are people out there who are really genuinely working in this field, alternative field, and we are able to help and bring closure. That's why we're here. We are here to save humanity.
And to help heal. I think this meeting is divine timing because I feel like people are ready for it. So we're ready to explore, and we just need a kind of organization where people can trust, because that's the thing. I think people are so scared. They're like, what if, what if this, what if that? And by sharing our own encounters and our own backgrounds, I think it helps people understand that we're all just human, going through the human experience, wanting to figure out why we're here, what are we doing, and what is our way forward.
Um, so many people, when they talk to me, they say, "Oh my God, I'm afraid, I'm scared." I'm like, "What are you scared of?" I'm not. I never message past things. I mean, and the spirit is so gentle. They're not coming through to spooky scare you. They come to comfort you. They hear. I mean, the higher beings are always of love. I don't channel lower beings. I always channel higher beings. And higher beings are always loving, are always there to support, and are always there to encourage and guide us. So every meeting, every reading to me is exciting and is lovely. And if there are spirits that come through and message, they're always there to support. To sometimes, if the worst case scenario is they come to ask for forgiveness and ask to be forgiven.
And through this process, everyone that I've encountered, honestly, has given me such profound, positive, and amazing energy while we do it. Like every time I do this, I delve into and I find more things about myself as well as connect with someone like yourself. I feel motivated and like there's this shining light, and I'm like, let's do it again. I actually wanted to also ask you, you were saying, because someone asked me the other day, what if another being, like a dark being, comes through while you're doing a reading? And you said now, don't channel that because of the frequency. So you can actually choose,
Yes.
the darker beings are all on a lower frequency, would you say? Or, and lighter beings would.
Lighter beings are from higher frequency. I channel from my heart and I channel from higher chakras. I don't, because I'm a light worker. So when I work with people, when I do readings, when I do coaching, everything that I do is for the greater good of people and humanity. So if I am talking to somebody, I'm there to help them, to guide them, to serve them. And at the time I am being served, because what I give out comes back to me. That's a golden rule. Just remember, do to others that you want to be done to you. So that's my rule. So I do, and I guide people to follow that. And in doing so, I cannot bring my frequency into a lower place. So, for example, people talking about, I had a client that came and said, how much do you charge if you murder my husband with witchcraft? I was like, what?
Oh my gosh.
But
That
it's,
is crazy. Why?
yeah,
That's not
true.
that's not being in the light at all. Like if you're going to commit something like that and ask someone else to do it on your behalf, that's
Yes. And
shocking.
but those type of energies are also out there. It doesn't mean it's not there. There are people seeking those type of low type of energy work. And unfortunately, there are some people that provide that type of a low energy work as well. So that's where the dark, lower beings, entities lay. In my space is only light. In my space, only love. And in my space is only peace. Low beings cannot. It's almost like I'm flying and the train is going, they won't meet.
They're all
So
below.
always on the higher plane, and lower beings are passing. Unless I bring myself to that lower plane, and then they will hit me, they will come through. Which I choose not to. It's my choice to see beauty, to be beauty, to live joy, and to be harmonious. This is my choice. This is my life. And I choose to see beauty and be in that beautiful space. And that's why I always advise, don't be nervous when you come bring your light and bring your joyful light and openness into the space, and whatever meant for you will come, will show. Whatever message of love and support may come, it will. And it doesn't matter. It's a spiritual, it's a universal language. So, for example, I had a lady came to me once years ago, and I remember the first thing I saw this Eiffel Tower, and I said, and I saw a car crash on the rocks, and she said, "That's my sister had a car crash on the rocks in Chapman's Peak, and they were French." She was.
They were French. Hence the reason you saw the Eiffel Tower. Oh my gosh, that's incredible.
They're from Paris, and it was amazing. So it doesn't have the language barrier, it just shows different countries come with different symbols, and I will learn, the messages come through symbology. So it's very beautiful and powerful.
I really am honored to have spoken to you today, and I look forward to whatever energy or whatever the universe has in store for both of us. I can't thank you enough, even just by supporting me today. Thank you so much, Ida.
Thank you very much for having me, and blessing for your journey ahead in enlightenment and enlightening others.
Thank you so much. Light and love, Ida.
Bye-bye. Thank
Bye.
you.
Perfect. So that's it from Hopeful. It's Nadine here. Please like, subscribe, comment. Your support is greatly appreciated. And if you want to see more, and hear more about my personal story, be sure to follow us.